This is like my umpteenth attempt to record this intro alone. But anyway, I recently participated in the Actually Infected challenge created by Actually Ray. It was a prompt list of different things that a lot of artists experience, ranging from the traditional kind like Markably to the digital kind like corrupted files, and even some like textile stuff, which I don't have experience with, but it was fun to interpret it into like an art piece. This was also the first challenge I was actually able to complete in full in quite some time. I participated in like in October in like 2018, but even so, since then I have not been able to complete one. But I did with this one. I did combine some of them into one art piece, just purely for time's sake, because I'm not great with timing and I got sick halfway through it. So just to be able to keep up with the challenge, I did combine a few things I thought would fit together. And now I guess I'm putting them into a video. I didn't actually plan on doing this from the beginning, but I just thought maybe it would be like a good idea to like have a place where I can show my art process and also explain my ideas behind each piece and like my thought process for it. And also, I just thought this would be like a fun little thing to do in my free time, since I have way too much of that. So yeah, I am very sorry for the quality of the audio, by the way, and the bound to be rambles that are to come, because I don't have a script for this or an actual mic. I am going completely out of my brain and using my phone to record this, so I am so sorry for that in advance. Anyway, let's get on to the first piece. And day one of the challenge was Markableed. Before becoming a primarily digital artist, I used to just do everything with alcohol markers. They weren't exactly the best quality alcohol markers, they weren't Copics or anything, they were just generic brand that I got from like Tiger. And the sketchbooks I used were definitely not made to handle alcohol markers. But you know, I used them anyway, and Markableed was a problem I ran into rather frequently because of that fact. And so it's something I wanted to try portray, I don't want to say right, but at least well in this piece, especially like shading with alcohol markers when you've already laid so many of them onto the page that it physically cannot hold it anymore and it just starts to bleed out everywhere. And also like when you turn a page over and you find out that half the color spilled onto the other side, and you rendering the next page basically unusable, or even the page after that. So that was really fun to try and capture in a digital sense, because it's been so long since I've actually used alcohol markers. I need to dig them out from where they've been hiding for the past couple of years. But I think I captured the feeling of using them pretty well here. I also used the same character throughout this challenge, so you're going to be seeing her quite a bit. And it's just kind of, I chose it just so you could have like a point of like continuity, I guess, like point of reference for each of the pieces, and I just wanted to see if like how much I could do with just one character for each of the different prompts. And I think this was a pretty good starting point for that. So yeah, anyway, on to the next one. Prompt 2 of the challenge was corrupted file, something I've luckily not had to deal with very often. But I have dealt with it once, and god damn, it was a nightmare. But luckily I also wasn't too attached to the piece, so I didn't mind just starting over with it. Also, it is surprisingly difficult to find just plain JPEGs of like Windows error screens. It's surprisingly very difficult to do that. I was searching for like a good couple minutes just to get the ones that I used to, and I just copy pasted them over and over again because I didn't want to have to go find more. But anyway, it actually is a prompt that lends itself very well to like the characters itself original design. So this was one I actually had a lot of fun playing around with, and I got to use all of my little glitch brushes that I have that I had downloaded like 2 years ago and I never used until now. I do wish I was a little bit more adventurous with like how I posed the character herself, but you know, I did the prompt. That was all I was worried about at the time. I may come back to this another time and like do like a different version, but you know, that's a problem for later me. And anyway, on to the next piece. Prompt 3 was misprint. Printing is not something that I do. It's something I've wanted to get back into. I've had very brief interactions with the medium. It was really a lot of fun when I did it, but misprints as a whole, as recently, not done in years. And so I kind of wanted to replicate that kind of printed on paper, but it went wrong kind of look. So I had some paper textures in the background, and I used one to like overlay onto the character that I think was hopefully a good idea. I don't. I will admit this is probably my least favorite piece in the whole set, purely because I think it's a little bit boring, and so that might be skewing my perception of it a little bit. But I moved the ink layers around, duplicated them, made it look kind of blurred, or like it was like reprinted slightly off. And I had some torn paper in the background, just so you know how that really printed onto paper look. And yeah, that was misprint. I didn't really have much of a process behind it. I kind of just want to do like a little collage, to be honest, and I did that. A very plain basic one, but I did it. Woo! And this was the point where I started putting two prompts into one. So the next two prompts were scrapped and also spilled ink. This was the first piece I did just after I got better from being sick, so it's not really the best quality thing. But I still like it nonetheless. I had the character that I've had throughout this whole thing being like lifted into like the recycle bin, just because I thought that would like lend itself very well to the idea of like something being like scrapped, like being thrown away, being like just scrapping a piece. And I didn't know how to incorporate spilled ink into it, so I just kind of added like a little bottle of spilled ink in the background and like put some onto the character itself, just because I thought maybe it would work. Maybe it would work better. I don't know. I didn't really have much of an idea behind the piece. I still think it's cute. I still quite like it. Don't remember my thought process behind it because I was just getting better. So, not the best, but I still quite like it. I think it's cute. And that was scrapped and spill ink. And the next prompt was broken model. Modeling is not really something that I do. I'm not very much a technical person. I've been wanting to try learn Blender, but I haven't gotten around to it, and I don't know when I will. So I was mostly using the Clip Studio 3D model as like a point of reference for this. And so I basically tried to make it look like the character itself was the 3D model, but something had gone wrong with like when it was like being posed, or like when it was being like put onto the actual canvas itself. And I thought it would be kind of cool to add like all like the little access points, I guess they're called that, onto the character itself to try and make it look like you were in like the middle of like turning and like posing her. And I added like a bunch of like little Clip Studio windows that like this failed save file, and like the little thing in the background where you can adjust the proportions of the character. And I thought it was like all the little details that I thought lended itself quite nicely to the idea of a broken model. And I actually had quite a lot of fun with this one. Again, I wish I did a little bit more with the character herself, posing wise. I can't really do much with her face. She's very much a dead stone faced character. But I think I still did this one quite well. And yeah. The next prompt was Tangled Thread. And I know before I said that Misprint was my least favorite one, I lied. This one is my least favorite one. I had basically no idea of what to do for this one. And so I just kind of went with it, tried to get out of the way as quickly as possible. And so the main basis of my idea was to make her like one of those like fabric dolls, I guess, that people have, and make it look like she was like sewing herself back together, or like or maybe she was taking herself apart. I'm not entirely sure what my thought process was, to be honest. I know I said this was a video dedicated to that, but I forgot it. I don't like the background. I wish I did something different with the background rather than like another collage. I just wish I handled this one differently. That's pretty much the take home from this. Okay, I was actually just about to record the last one, but I realized I forgot the one from actually a couple prompts ago, analog. So I'm doing that really quickly before I do the last one. Analog, again, is not something that I have a lot of experience with the medium, but I used to have like a lot of videotapes when I was a kid, like movies and stuff, like Snow White, like Disney classics. And so I kind of wanted to try replicate that feeling of like a home video, I guess. Just the grainy kind of look to it, like the date and stuff in like the different corners, like the VHS. And so I kind of wanted to make it look like there was like a home video camera set up within the character's room, but I wanted to have it look like something was like a little bit off. So like the TV screen is covered in static, and like the window outside is just like, like the rainbow no signal screen that a lot of TVs used to have. And this is probably one of my favorite pieces aside from the last one. I actually quite like it. The pose looks a little bit off. It's not a pose that I'm quite that comfortable with, but I wanted to try push my comfort level with it a little bit. And I do still quite like how it turned out. I think it holds up really well for when I did it, which was a couple months ago. But yeah, that was analog. And now we're for real onto the last ones. Again, I combined these two into one prompt just because I thought they would work quite well together, and it is blue screen and anomalies. Basically, for this prompt, I took the character herself and made her into an actual person, and made the background instead what she used to look like. Like the white with the orange lines. Couldn't remember the word orange for a second there. So I wanted to make her the anomaly within this piece. I wanted to add people either side of her, just like blank people with the blue screen for like their faces, but I wasn't too confident in my ability to do that. And also I hate doing sitting poses, so I was trying to avoid that as much as I could, until I get a little bit better at them. But yeah, I made the background instead the white and orange with like having the blue screen being up on like the walls where the ads were, and also outside the window, making that one the blue screen as well. So basically making just everything so unlike the character herself. And I think I did that pretty well. This is probably, apart from Analog, this is probably my favorite piece that I did out of the entire challenge. And I really do quite like it. I think once I get a little bit better in like my aspects of drawing with like poses and stuff, I might go back to the original idea of like having people around but there's something wrong with them, if I decide to circle back to this prompt. But until then, I'm quite happy with how this turned out. And that was the whole challenge. This was honestly quite a lot of fun. I probably should have done this video a lot earlier if I wanted to remember my exact thought processes. But better late than never, I guess. But this was actually a lot of fun, and thank you to actually Ray for making this prompt list. This was so good for artists like me who really have really bad timekeeping tracks with stuff like everyday prompts like Inktober, and it was quite short as well, so I can go at my own pace, and that was really fun. But yeah, I don't know if I'll make any videos after this one. This was just kind of archiving purposes. If I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good day.